Welcome to another episode of That's Fine With Me podcast. And today I want to talk about my experience from China. I went to university and I told you a couple of times I'm an interpreter, like translator. And my second language was Chinese. I had a couple of options. Honestly, we had an opportunity to choose from other languages. We had French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, then Korean, and Chinese. I chose Chinese, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I wasn't sure about this language, but I will reassure you that my decision was based on internships. I wanted to experience this language from inside, from the country that it was coming from. That's why I had the only opportunity to kind of practice my Chinese for a long period of time because we had this sort of internship based experience, let's say, only for Chinese language. And at first, I didn't know if I really was able to learn this language. It's not really hard, but it's difficult because it has some points where you might not really understand what is going on. So it's going to take you a lot of time and energy to memorize a lot of different words. And basically, this is a problem with early linguistics because when I went to China and we had a student who was actually fluent in Chinese, but he couldn't read. That was the problem because I guess he learned from the streets, he learned from different movies, so he could speak fluently, but he wasn't able to write or read in Chinese. And that was the main problem because they couldn't estimate his level because lots of students, they are quite, like, say, even if they can read and if they can speak Chinese, then they know how to read and they know how to, let's say, write in Chinese. And when you have a student who can speak fluently, but his Chinese is super basic if it comes to writing and reading, they had a lot of issues and problems to determine his level. I don't know what happened to this guy. He kind of was in the same group as I was. Second trimester, he went with me in the same group, but then he kind of went away somewhere else. I will tell you guys that I went to China in 2017 at the end of August. I went there with a couple of my group mates, and then I stayed there till probably the end of December. They let us go home to visit our friends and family, and we had basically a lot of time, I'd say, to spend with family members because they have this Chinese New Year, and it's a little bit different from their world, I'd say, because if we do not work on the 1st of January, they actually do, sort of, and then they stop when Chinese New Year begins, and it's probably like the beginning of February, but they still let students go right in the middle of January, I'd say. And I went back right at the beginning of March, and I stayed there till the middle of July, I'd say, something like this. And I had the best and the worst time there in China. The worst was that I was practically alone. I had no family members. I had no friends. My boyfriend was, right now, my husband. He was in my hometown, and of course, he went visiting a couple of times. It was in October and in April, but for 1 week, and it wasn't basically enough, but at least something, because some girls didn't have this opportunity at all. And I would tell you, my experience was interesting. It was crazy. And I know a lot of things from inside, I guess. And for example, they have Taobao. Taobao is a website where you can purchase anything. They will deliver this from absolutely any corner of the country, and it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be shipped within a couple of days. I mean, top 1 week, probably if it's huge, and you can get a delivery in 2 days, probably something like this. And it is really similar to Amazon or other websites and platforms. The only difference is cost. It's ridiculously cheap. And it's great because most of these products, they are designed to to be used in China and specifically for Chinese. The quality is amazing. And I'll tell you guys, when I came back home and I went shopping, I literally found a couple of items and basically was a sweater that I purchased in China. But the cost of the sweater was 3 or 4 times higher than it was in China. So let me tell you that I spent there a couple of months before we were able to get our visa. Well, first of all, when we arrived, let me tell you this. I went to Beijing first and we were late because my plane was sort of delayed. And that was the main reason why when we went to China and we went to Beijing, unfortunately, we weren't able to get the second flight to Dalian. Dalian is the city on the north of China, not really far from Beijing, and it's quite cold there. It's not really cold compared to like Russia or other regions, but it's quite cold. And especially that was located near the sea. That was the main reason why the wind was crazy and it was really, really cold. So when we were late to our second flight, I had the most heavy, the most uncomfortable bag with me, and I had to carry this around the airport. The airport in Beijing is huge. It's enormous. You can get lost easily in this airport, and that happened with me and my husband when I went to meet him in October. It was really hard to find him. Oh, no. It wasn't October. It was in April because at first he went to Dalian and then he went to Beijing in April. It's not the case. The point here, it was really scary, and it's that big that sometimes they have the train that connects some parts of this airport so you can get from one place to another. And I remember I used once this train to get from one place to another in the same airport area. And we were managed to say that that was the problem of the plane that shifted the schedule. And that is the main reason why we got our tickets for free and we finally were able to get to Dalian. Then we had a little bit different problem because my language, my Chinese was sort of elementary, I guess, level. Learning this in my country still, it didn't help a lot. That's why when we came to China, it was really difficult to understand what people wanted from us. And it was really difficult to tell what we wanted from them. And a lot of dictionary was involved and a lot of different like people who could try to speak English at least. And we found some bus. It took us, like the bus ticket was about 50 yens, 50 yuan, I guess, yuan. And 50 yuan is like, I don't know, maybe back then it was $5, maybe even less. Oh, it was probably like a little bit less than $10 to get to campus. And we showed them the location and they said, how? Okay. And they delivered us from Dalian Airport to the location of our university. And that was a university for everyone who were learning foreign languages, basically. And I remember the first day, I was exhausted after this plane and going around, and it looked like a nightmare. And the first person that I came across was from Spain. And this guy, he was super cute, he was nice. And we came over and asked him, like, please tell us, where should we go? Where are the dorms? Just please let us know. And I was like staying exhausted, and he looked at me and he said, oh, I see, you're exhausted. And that moment I realized that probably I was reflecting everything from inside to the outside of my face. You know, I could see that my face was giving away my tiredness, let's say. And was he Mickey? I don't remember. Oh, doesn't really matter. And I actually saw a couple of girls that had, and they swore they had a guy at home, like boyfriend at home. But in a week later, they didn't really have boyfriends anymore. They were partying and they were literally slipping around with everyone in this campus. But it's a little bit different story to tell you guys. Well, that was the first time living in a dorm for me. I always lived with my family because I lived in the city. My university wasn't really far from my home. That's why I stayed with my parents. And that was the first time living my parents that far away. And it was difficult. it was difficult because I had no idea what was coming. And the difficulty was that you had no friends to support you. You had no people that you could literally tell your secrets and your deepest, scariest emotions that you experience from this trip. And of course, it could call, but it's something different. It's absolutely different. It's some sort of like coronavirus, but you still can get to your parents or family members or like, I don't know, your friends because you're that far that even if you want to take a ride to them, it's going to take you a couple of weeks. And I remember the first day, it was really tough. I went to bed early, really early, and I had the worst gastritis, like problems. My stomach was aching, and I guess it was because of my anxiety and stress, basically. So I could eat only rice, and that was it. I tried their bread, but they don't really have a normal bread. All this type of bread, first of all, it can stay fresh for weeks. When you open this bread, it can stay fresh for weeks. It's sweet. Most of their bread is sweet, and it's super soft. It's like incredibly soft. I don't know what they add there, but it's definitely not something that I get used to. And I had a couple of those kind of buns, but then I just throw them away because I didn't really feel like it. And China is incredible. I love China. The food is incredible, especially if you have access to their traditional food. That is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan. If you tell me to choose from different types of Asian food, and we're talking about Japan or Thailand and Korea, China. I've never tried Vietnamese food. That's why I can't tell you guys for sure. But I went to Thailand. It's really boring. And I don't know, maybe I went to this place where this food was for tourists only. But it was super plain, no spices, nothing. And even seafood is not from the sea. It's not from the actual sea, especially some prawns. It was from some sort of pools, and it was tasteless. Chinese food is the most delicious in my opinion because it's not extra spicy, though I was super afraid that it's going to be extra spicy food and I'm not going to be able to eat in China. No, it's not true. If you ask them not to add some pepper, red pepper, or something like this, they're not going to do this. It's okay for them. It's always fresh. I love it. I tried a couple of times Japanese food. Probably it's something. It's not my style. The flavor is a little bit different. That's why even noodles they're a little bit different. And if we're talking about Korean food, well, Korean food is spicy. It's really spicy, and it's. I tried a couple of dishes of Korean food, and I can't say that I was impressed. But probably I didn't try the authentic traditional ways of cooking this Korean food. But I did try some squid. I did try with rice. This I forgot the cabbage, fermented cabbage. Forgot. Oh my god. Kimchi. Yeah, I did try it. It's super spicy for me, but when it's fresh, it's nice. I mean, first day when it's super fresh, it's nice. It's crunchy. It's delicious. And I found a couple of places in my dorm, near my dorm, where was delicious, but it's quite oily and it's quite greasy food. That's why I had a chance. First of all, we found a girl, sort of guide. She lived there. She studied there a couple years. And that was her 4th year, I guess. And she was graduating the year we went there. And she was super helpful and the nicest person I've ever seen. And she helped us a lot because when you come to China, they take your passport. Nothing like this, but they take your passports and they have to prolong visa. And it takes a lot of time in this immigration station, I guess. Well, when they took our passports, they returned them only in a month, I guess even more than a month and a half. That's why we couldn't order anything from Taobao because to get anything you need a card, like a bank card, and of course to get this bank card you need a passport. It was a little bit stupid for us to give away our passports before getting a card, but I guess it was inevitable. And I know it might sound a little bit crazy, but Chinese people, Chinese basically, they order practically everything from Taobao. It's their life. It's sort of Amazon, but more and more important. The quality of these products is amazing, guys. Well, when you read made in China, and if you live in a little bit different country, it's basically some businessmen come to China and they ask for the cheapest quality products that they're going to resell in your country, and it's definitely going to be poor quality. But when you're in China, it's not going to cost you a fortune because you don't really have the price for transferring this to your country, but the quality is amazing. A lot of the products that I brought from China, they're still working and we use them daily. And this is amazing. If you have a chance to visit China and to rent some apartment and then get Taobao and bank card to deliver anything, believe it or not, you're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy thinking how to get all of these products from China to your country. And yeah, delivery is going to cost you a fortune. That's unfortunately the truth. And I purchased there a silk blanket. For me and my mom, my silk blanket is 5 kilos and my mom's is 3 kilos. And yeah, it was really hard when my husband, back then boyfriend, came to visit me. I gave him the whole bag with some clothes and blankets and some stuff that my family asked me to purchase in China and I purchased myself. And that was a lot. And it was really funny when I was coming home from China in July. I had my bag, mainly suitcase, and you could get back then only 23 kilos for one person of a suitcase. And I had 26. And I pretended that I didn't see the number and I turned my head away and that was it. I kind of played dumb. So I didn't see the numbers. But this girl on the front desk, she was very nice and she didn't say a word. And then I had my bag with me with all my books, with something else. I don't remember. I had so much things beside my suitcase that it was super heavy, and a lot of people helped me. That was interesting, that when I was coming home, I didn't have any support. I was coming alone, and I had this guy. He has relatives in China. His grandma and his grandpa, they're Chinese, but his parents left China years and years ago, and they gave birth to their son, the one who helped me, in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So this guy who could speak English, I guess it was Africa. I don't remember the place. He could speak English quite good. And he went to visit his grandparents. And he helped a lot. He was literally carrying around my bag. And we were talking and sharing some experience. And then I went to Beijing, from Dalian to Beijing. And in Beijing, he helped me to get my bag to the gates. And then he left. And then I had a girl that helped me a lot. So both of us were carrying this bag. So I was lucky that a lot of people helped with this bag. And then my husband had to carry all the stuff later on. I know it might sound a little bit crazy, but China is a place where it's so interesting how the technology meets some people that, I don't even know how to describe. For example, we went to the market, local market. First things first, it's super cheap food. You can buy food for some, I don't know, I don't know, less than $1. You can literally afford a lot of things. And every single week I went shopping. First things were Walmart. I went to Walmart by bus. And then the cost of this bus was 10 yuan. It's less than, I guess, 2 cents, something like this, maybe 2 or 3 cents for one ride. And then when I went to Walmart, I purchased some products, and then I went to some local market to purchase some greens and at the same time some fruits, vegetables, this type of products. But if you wanted to buy some seafood and if you wanted to buy some chicken, and I mean meat, basically, you had to go to Walmart, because when Chinese see that you're a foreigner, the prices are going to be crazy for some seafood. And in some supermarkets, the price is stable, and you can buy a lot of things for a reasonable price in the supermarket, and greens especially. Some cookies. I didn't buy bread because basically they have no bread. And in the local markets, you could buy strawberries for the cheapest price ever. I could afford. And by the way, if you go to China, all the prices are in half the kilo. It's just if you were measuring something in kilos, it's going to be half the kilo for the price. and they're not selling the whole kilo. So the price for, some strawberries was less than $1 for half a kilo. If you wanted to purchase some greens and vegetables, let me tell you, I had the budget for the week. The budget for the week was 100 yuan. That was approximately, I don't even know, maybe 20, $30. Yeah, 20, $30 per week. It's for transportation to get from one place to another by bus. And then it was to spend some money in the supermarket, then local market, and I could afford everything. It's just some cookies, and I could afford vegetables, some rice, rice noodles, whatever I wanted. In terms of products. And I even had some spare money to spend on some sushi or some noodles. And I did this once a week. The Chinese food is very good. It's delicious, but it's super crazy, oily, and sometimes it's sweet. So I could eat it only once a week, and all of my girls, all of my group mates, they didn't cook because it was super cheap to buy food from local cooks, let's say. They gained at least 10 kilos, 10 or maybe 15 kilos, because it was super sweet. And one of my girls, she had a lot of pimples all over her face. So the skin changed drastically because of the sweetness and because of this sauces. That's why it's delicious for a couple of times, but I wouldn't eat it every single day. But once a week is great. Okay, guys, I am living because I need to go shopping and do some groceries. If you want to know more, I'm going to be probably filming part 2 of my trip to China, because it's basically just a scoop of what I experienced in China. And yeah, I have more things to share. Love you guys. Until my next time. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. That's fine with me. And till next time.